So it's looking pretty bad for me. The I've been threatened. I've received that threatening letter that I couldn't read. I took a screenshot of it, uh, or I photographed it, but I can't look at it. When I see abusive, when I see abusive text coming at me, like bullying or abuse, I just physically can't. I just can't read it. It's the same with text messages. Like if I've had some nasty text messages from some horrible, confused people, or like in the comment section on a post. If I see something nasty, I just stop reading, and it's not even like it's just like a involuntary reaction, and I just can't look at it. So I'm gonna try to look at the demonic letter later on tonight. But I got this nasty email from my father, and he's telling me I've got 2 weeks here, I guess, 2 more weeks or three more weeks or something, some time limit, and then I guess I'll be going to jail or prison or something. So, and you would think like you can't just send someone to jail. You can use legal frameworks. You can use lawfare to like engineer a scenario where there's no alternative but incarceration. Now, it's pretty simple. Just make someone completely dependent on you, and then take away their ability to support themselves, take away their transportation, take away their access to medical care, cause them to become sick where they rely on medical care, cause them to become disabled and totally dependent on you, and then just file a false restraining order on them. And then, when they have nowhere to go but to come to you for help, then you can call the government to send some armed thugs and haul them off to a dungeon. And that's what my family's done to me. And it's absolutely fucking evil. And I want to make sure that this is well documented, what they did to me. Now, I should have fought the restraining order because it was a false restraining order. But it would have been a big court battle. And my mother loves the attention. She loves the... I think she probably watches like those crime dramas on TV, like Judge Judy, like not Judge Judy, but like Law and Order, that kind of nonsense, all that trash. And she lives for that shit. And I just didn't want to give her the gratification that she would get for making a big public spectacle, because that's what she enjoys more than anything, is making a huge public spectacle. Narcissists love making public spectacles, and causing humiliation and in their victims, humiliating their victims in public. They love that. It's just so sick and twisted and so trashy. This whole YouTube channel is very trashy. Me throwing my personal garbage onto YouTube, but I've been backed into a corner here where I have no other option. I wish I didn't have to make these videos talking about just this nonsense, but it's just I need to document what's happening to me. In case something horrible happens, at least somebody can go back and see what happened later. But hopefully there'll be a miracle, and my father will see that I'm not lying. I guess he thinks I'm trying to imagine trying to put yourself into the mind of someone with a mental retardation. I mean, I hate to say that, like a mentally retarded, communist, working class dope with no, technical understanding or medical understanding or anything, and no psychological understanding. So I'm being like, what's the word? Projected. My father has mental illness, and he's projecting his own mental illness onto me, and he thinks I want to be disabled and I want to be a victim and stuff, or that I get some sort of benefit by laying in bed for years of my life, years of my prime earning years, just laying in bed. I guess he thinks I enjoy that or something. So we've already wasted, many years of my life, and I'm very sick. So I'm just putting this out there. I guess he thinks I want to be disabled. Like, try to put yourself in the mind of someone who thinks someone else wants to be disabled. Like, that's crazy. I can't imagine someone wanting to be sick or disabled. But my father actually believes that. This is the prison guard, Nazi, fascist, communist, cluster B personality disorder mindsets. Maybe he didn't get enough love from his mother as a child. I had plenty of love from my mother as a child. I had way too much. So I don't have that need for attention or that need for sympathy or anything that my father gets or must have. And I also don't want to be sick. There's a lot of work I have to do in the world, just to recover from the abuse, recover from the abusive upbringing and the medical drug injury that I received when I got MRI contrast. But so I'm just putting this out there. Once again, I'm just going to explain. I am actually physically, medically disabled. We could get a doctor to declare me disabled. I could go get a handicap placard for driving in a car. I could also get a window tint exemption, and I'm going to get these. A window tint exemption, so I could have dark tint on my car, and I can have a handicap parking space because I'm disabled. And what happened was I got poisoned by gadolinium-based contrast agents from an MRI contrast. I got injected with gadolinium, and it's destroyed my health over the last 5 years. And the metal doesn't leave the body; it stays in the body. So I could go to a normal doctor, a normal allopathic traditional doctor, and get diagnosed with like an autoimmune disease or fibromyalgia, which is a chronic pain syndrome, or chronic fatigue syndrome. I'm just too tired all the time. I could go get those diagnoses and just collect a bunch of horrible diagnoses that don't actually explain the problem. Mast cell activation syndrome is another one. I don't want these diagnoses. I mean, it might be useful for getting access to certain prescription medications that could help me. But I don't want to just collect a bunch of diagnoses. I'm not trying to get a disability check. That would be the end of my life if I can't work. There's all the things I want to do in the world require lots of money, and if I can't work, then And another thing is, the condition I have is not untreatable. It's manageable. And it might actually be curable. So basically, I have toxic microscopic metal nanoparticles of gadolinium, toxic heavy element gadolinium, similar to lead poisoning, very similar, but worse. And we don't typically grind up lead into a fine powder and mix it in solution and inject it into people. That would be, criminal. But for some reason, we do that with gadolinium, which is just as toxic or more toxic than lead. Because there's some chemistry bullshit. There's some chemistry. Basically, there's a big cover-up. There's a big scandal in the pharmaceutical industry, and we're learning now that the COVID jabs are responsible for a lot of death. And if you still don't know this, well, I'm just going to tell you right now: the COVID jabs, at least some of them, cause heart disease and cancer. So, I really wish I hadn't got that one jab that I got. I'm not experiencing symptoms from that too, but I probably am. It probably has made things worse. Definitely didn't make things better for me. So I'm concerned about some people I know that have had a lot of those jabs. And so when I got injected with the contrast agent, there was some chemistry that happened that made me extremely susceptible to being injured. And but the problem with most drug injuries is you get injured and then the drug clears your system and maybe you can recover later. Like fluoroquinolones, I think probably you can recover from that eventually. I hope so, at least. And there's lots of other drugs that people get injured by in different medical procedures and things. And sometimes you can recover, But with gadolinium, it doesn't seem to be the case, and it's pretty obvious why. Is because the toxic metal never left my body. So they say you're supposed to pee it out in 24 hours, and but for whatever reason, we know that's not true now. The science is coming out. Dr. Brent Wagner, I believe, is the one that discovered this. Don't quote me on that. Out of New Mexico University, he has discovered or somebody's discovered, they're looking at cadavers, and also people going to get MRIs without contrast in the future after getting a MRI contrast injection, and they see traces of the residual contrast in the brain, even though no contrast was administered, because they see it from the previous contrast. So it stores in the brain, not just the brain, everywhere, but especially the brain. It likes to go to the brain for some reason. There's a number of theories why that could be, but it goes everywhere. So they inject this contrast agent in you so they can get brighter image on the MRI, and you're supposed to pee it out. But the pharmaceutical companies are admitting now that you don't pee all of it out. A lot of it stays in your body, and I think in my case, the majority of it stayed in my body. And then it gets lodged in all your tissues. This toxic metal particle. Excuse me. It gets lodged in all your tissues, and I can't breathe in here. I'm having an allergy attack because I have gadolinium, and because the room is moldy and dusty, and I can't do anything about that. I'm trapped in here, and so yeah, it lodges in all your tissues, your bone, and then your body's. It displaces calcium, and other essential minerals, because it's a heavier element. So your biology doesn't have the machinery to clear this out of your body, because we're not evolved to be exposed to this shit in nature. You don't find animals in nature that have gadolinium exposure. It's just not something that happens. It's element number 64 on the atomic scale. And if you a periodic table, if you know anything about chemistry, you'll know that most of the biological elements are lighter. They're element number 64 is gadolinium. And I think the heaviest natural element you find in the human body is iodine. I'm not sure what element number that is, but anything heavier than iodine, you shouldn't have in your body. But I have a detectable. So if I were to die tomorrow and they did an autopsy and they were looking for gadolinium, they would find it in all my tissues. They would find it in my bones. They would find it in my brain. They would find it in my teeth. I have 2 teeth left. They would find it in my teeth. They would find it in all my organs, my lungs, my heart, my kidneys, my liver. It just stays there, and it causes an immune system response. So basically, my immune system is constantly reacting to the gadolinium in my brain. So, like, I have a pathogen in my brain but it's trying to kill it, but it's not you can't kill it. It doesn't. There's no cellular machinery to remove the gadolinium from the body. So it causes problems with the T cells. It causes immune system problems. It just wreaks havoc in the body. It's just the most horrible thing, and it causes all these medical conditions. And the technical term is gadolinium deposition disease. That's what I have. I've never been diagnosed, but I know I could get. And mast cell activation syndrome is another thing that it causes. And we could make an argument that people with mast cell activation syndrome are more susceptible to gadolinium deposition disease. I don't know. I think I had immune system problems before I got poisoned because of my Lyme disease, and also some other things. But regardless, it's a serious problem that I'm going to have to manage. I'm going to have to treat and manage for the rest of my life, probably. It's not something I'm going to ever be able to forget about. As long as I have this body, I'm going to have to think about gadolinium. And there's therapies to remove a lot of the gadolinium from the body, like chelation is the chelation therapy with DTPA, and perhaps even HOPO in the future. This is another chelator that's being investigated by the FDA, apparently. And but it's expensive, and insurance doesn't cover it, because the traditional medical establishment doesn't even recognize this condition, because they're the ones causing it, and they don't even recognize that they're causing this condition, this medical problem, gadolinium deficit, this disease. So it's a huge scandal, and lots of people are being affected. How many people are being affected? There's 14,000 people in the Facebook group for this condition. And there's many Facebook groups, and there's a Reddit community with about 1,000 people, I believe. So it's not a ton of people, but it's a lot. But if you look at the percentage of people that get this every year, it's a very small fraction of people that are able to figure out that this is causing a problem for them. I know my father just got gadolinium injected. He was terrified that he had cancer, and so I advise him not. I think he knows I've been affected by it, but I guess he felt he had no choice but to get it. He doesn't seem to have any symptoms, but he is a narcissist, and they're not aware of how their body feels. So, and he seems to be walking around just fine and stuff. So maybe he didn't have a problem with it. But I was extra susceptible, and there's many different types of gadolinium, and they do things to try to make it safe, which they can't actually. But different formulations of the gadolinium wrapped in a protective layer, chemical layer. So maybe my father just didn't get. A lot of these people don't seem to have a reaction to it, but I did. And I don't even know what formulation I got. There's really no way to find out. It's been so long. But I don't really care. All I care about is how do I get the shit out of my body, and obviously never get another injection of that shit ever again. So how do I get it out of my body? That's expensive. It's going to be with travel and lodging and everything. And then the treatment itself is, with the specialist. There's like a handful of people in the country that treat it. A handful of doctors in the country. All in, it's probably like, and then you got to factor in lost productivity because you're not working while you're doing chelation. It makes you very sick when you do chelation because it stirs up the toxic metal. So it's like being re-poisoned all over again. So it's like you have to take at least a few weeks off work to go get chelation. All in, you're looking at like $10,000 probably to get one visit and one treatment, and you need typically several treatments to see significant improvement. It's not but it'll be the single greatest investment in my health that I can make. Walking around with this toxic metal in my body is really, I can't really walk because of it. But so I don't expect my family to help me get the chelation. They already said they won't. On philosophical grounds, they won't help me. So that's not what family's for. That family's supposed to be there as a social safety net and as a in times of crisis to help you. My family's not. So that's not family. So I don't have a family. It turns out I just have actors and fair weather friends, fair weather family. So I want nothing more than to be done with these people and get them out of my life permanently. But I had to have a life that's independent of them, and So I'm lucky in that I can get my CDL very easily, and I know how to drive semi trucks, and I know how to do that with gadolinium disease because I've had gadolinium disease for a long time, for 5 years now. And that's the only kind of paid employment I could do. If I didn't know how to drive trucks, and I would be permanently disabled. But because I have this ability to get a CDL and this ability to drive trucks and live in trucks, I can do that because there's a bed in the back, and I can just go lay down whenever I need to, pretty much. So I just won't be very productive as a trucker. But there's things I could do that will increase my energy. So basically, one of the worst symptoms besides the chronic pain, and if you're a man with gadolinium disease, get your testosterone checked, because your higher testosterone makes raises pain tolerance. So with gadolinium disease, your immune system is constantly flared up, reacting to the gadolinium, and it's very painful. It's painful to use your muscles. It's painful to walk. It's painful to lay in bed even. It's painful 24 hours a day, extreme pain all the time. That's why I could go get diagnosed with a pain condition like fibromyalgia and get some opioids probably if I wanted that. But that doesn't solve anything, and that leads to a whole bunch of other problems. But yeah, so if I get on testosterone replacement therapy, because I know my testosterone is low, I can just feel it. I know that, and then I do things to boost my testosterone naturally as well. Um, the pain will be less of a problem, less noticeable, and then it'll just be the fatigue that I have to deal with. And the fatigue is the worst kind of fatigue you can imagine. It's like you're strapped with weights. Everything's just heavy. Your body feels heavy. Like it just takes so much effort to raise your arm, to lift a finger. It's just, and people think I'm being lazy or something. I mean, yeah, it makes you lazy because it's just so much effort to do anything. Even thinking, it's so much effort to speak, to think. I'm not speaking right. I'm just speaking off the cuff here. I'm not like trying to. It takes so much effort to carefully think and stuff. So the way I speak has totally changed because of gadolinium. The way I form sentences, my word choice, everything has totally changed. And it lowers your IQ. It makes you stupid. It causes brain damage. We have the science on this. It's actually causing the death of neurons. So my neurons are less today, much less than they were before gadolinium. So it's made me stupid. We know that there's ways to fix that in the future, but until I get chelation, it's going to keep wreaking havoc on my body because it's still in my brain and my body. It's in my spinal cord as well. Where else does it go? Just everywhere. It's in the eyes, it goes everywhere. So, like, if I were to die tomorrow and they did an autopsy, they would find this toxic metal that shouldn't be in my body. They would find it everywhere, and especially in the brain, though. But so my family won't let me get the chelation. That's fine. I mean, it's really sad. That would be the single greatest thing for me. But I can understand. It's expensive. I'm just asking if there was a way I could borrow money to get every year that goes by that I keep the metal in my body, I'm permanently damaging my body, and it's going to be a lot more expensive to recover than it would be to just get the chelation. But I don't have the money. So I just got to make myself functional without getting chelation. And there's things I could do like mast cell stabilizers, different supplements and that are and medications to stabilize my mast cells, so I'm not dealing with the mast cell activation syndrome symptoms. And then to treat the fibromyalgia, that would be testosterone replacement therapy, and low dose naltrexone is another one to deal with the pain, and then to deal with the energy levels, mitochondrial dysfunction. So basically my cells just aren't making energy like they're supposed to. And so basically it's just like, so there's things, so basically if I just sleep right, fix my sleep with this using CPAP, and that's another issue is I'm not even getting REM sleep unless I use a machine that I'm not using right now. But if I am using CPAP and then sleeping right, and then if I eat right, if I just do a ketogenic, put my body into metabolic ketosis, so I'm running on ketones instead of glucose, that's an easier fuel source for the body and brain, for the cells, and I'll have more energy that way. So, and then there's some medications like modafinil, and then other nootropic drugs perhaps as well, and then some other supplements and things to increase mitochondrial function. But you're kind of, when you do all this, a lot of these things are things we should be doing anyway to be healthy. So if I just do everything really carefully, diet, sleep. Another thing I want to mention is I can't exercise, and I won't be exercising until after at least 3 rounds of DTPA. Let me just say again, I will not be exercising beyond the bare minimum to walk, to move, to function. I will not be doing any kind of physical training or anything until I get chelation, because it's just too damn painful. And I was having problems walking before I got poisoned. That was actually why I got the MRI on my hip, and because it was painful walking with my hip, and still is. And but now it's just all my joints. Another thing that causes the joints, clicky joints. I don't know the mechanism, just inflamed joints. So both my ankles click when I walk, and that's really concerning because I feel like I'm damaging my ankles when I walk, and my knees too. But so let's see. So yeah, if I do clean the diet up with equipment from Amazon to cook healthy food, and then I only eat clean food, ketogenic diet food, basically like a carnivore diet. Lots of vitamins, Vitamins, supplements, mast cell stabilizers, things to lower inflammation, things to boost my energy production, and some prescription drugs around that from several different doctors, including telehealth. And insurance doesn't cover any of this, as far as I know. Then I can be a functional truck driver, and that's the only occupation I could do if I can't do trucking, and a long haul trucking specifically because of the bed. I couldn't do day cab trucking, local trucking. My father wanted me to be a UPS delivery guy or a mailman or something. Like, there's no way, man. There's no way. So, if I can't be supported to go back trucking, which would be the right thing to do for me, then I need to get a disability attorney and start the process of getting on a disability check, which is stupid because it doesn't pay enough to live, and it doesn't pay enough to get chelation. So I'll just be permanently inflamed and sick. The only reason I'm haven't seriously looking for a way out of this nightmare permanently is because I hope that I can get chelation and I'll recover. And there's good reasons to believe that my condition is totally fixable with this chelation therapy that pioneered by Dr. Smelka out of North Carolina and available you have to pay out of pocket. And I'm actually surprised how cheap it is too, because it's a life-changing medical procedure, and they can charge whatever they want for it, because it's proven it works. There's thousands of, at least hundreds of testimonials, or dozens that I've read, of people that have done DTPA and recovered, and they're not. This isn't like a business for the. I mean, it's a business for these people, but they're not doing this to make money. They're doing this because they're genuinely trying to do. It's a humanitarian crisis, I'd like to look into if there's like charity cases. There should be like a charity for people that can't afford chelation. I would like to, if there is something like that, I'd like to find out. But it's not that expensive, chelation. It's the treatments themselves are only like maybe, I think, $1,700 or something, and maybe you need 3 of them. But it's just the travel. You just can't. It's not something you can get in your local community. It's only certain doctors around the country that do this. So you have to travel to them and hotel and everything. So it adds up. But if I go back trucking, I could just take home time in a place where I can get the chelation, and I can save $700 a week. So, potentially maybe in like 8 weeks of trucking, if I do go back trucking properly, where I do it cost effectively, perhaps in like 8 weeks I could go get chelation. Probably not that soon, but definitely like within 6 months if I go back trucking, and I'll be a new man once I get chelation. So that's the long-term thing. But we have to get me to that point where I can do trucking while poisoned again, and in a cost-effective way where I can save money. And so I have to be eating right, sleeping right, etc. And if I can't do that in a hotel room where I'm at now, I'm definitely not going to be able to do that in a truck. Everything in a truck is way more complicated, way more stressful, way more difficult than in a hotel room. So if I can't sleep properly or eat properly in a hotel room, definitely can't do that in a truck. So that's why I'm pleading with my father to please let me finance all the equipment I need to get moved into the hotel room here, get set up to be productive in the hotel room. And then, once I'm sleeping right here and eating right here, I'm going to cook all my meals with a hot pot, and taking all the right supplements and mast cell stabilizers, supplements and medication. And I'm going to get on TRT, testosterone replacement therapy, low dose naltrexone, some other things I can't think. Oh, peptides like BPC 157, body protection compound 157. I can get on that, and modafinil. Oh, and then get my IT working here. I think I'll be probably barely even noticeable that I have gadolinium disease, and then I can go back trucking, and be able to do it, save a lot of money, and get myself chelation that I require, and put this nightmare behind me, because it's ruined my life over the last 5 years. I really am sorry I didn't know what I needed sooner, because there was a time in about 3 years ago where I had the money and I could have got chelation. I just didn't know about it. I knew I wasn't well, but I didn't make the connection that it was gadolinium. I just thought I was getting older, and I wasn't eating right, and I just attributed everything to the poor diet. But this isn't poor diet. This fatigue. This is mast cell activation syndrome and gadolinium deposition disease. So, if you go to my playlist on this channel, I think I have a playlist called Health/MCAS, MCAS. That's mast cell activation syndrome. I think my mother also has that condition. It's misdiagnosed as Hashimoto's and different things, or Hashimoto's is like it's misdiagnosed as an autoimmune condition. It's not an autoimmune. I can go get a diagnosis as an autoimmune condition. I don't have an autoimmune condition. I have metal in my body, in my brain and stuff. Then my immune system is attacking it as it should, because there's a foreign object there, but it can't be removed. There's no cellular machinery to remove it. That's why we have to do chelation. And I'll be doing chelation for the rest of my life. I'm going to do chelation until I feel better, and then I'm going to keep doing more chelation as long as I'm excreting the toxic metal, which I'll be excreting it. I'll have trace amounts of this shit in my urine for the rest of my life. But just for health and longevity, we think it's carcinogenic as well. We think it causes bone cancer and leukemia. So I'm gonna have to get checked for that periodically for the rest of my life, and just manage this condition for the rest of my life. And so if you are getting an MRI, you don't need to get contrast. So I should have told my father this. You can get they only use contrast on the older machines. The newer machines they can see the same quality image without contrast, but it's just you have to pay out of pocket. Probably insurance might not cover it. But so it was very foolish of my father to get this injection of gadolinium. But he is going to do whatever he chooses, and he won't listen to me. But it's very frustrating when your parents are getting sick and old and they won't listen to you, and you watch them doing crazy things like getting gadolinium injection and COVID jabs that cause turbo cancer and stuff. But they're going to self-destruct one way or another, and I just don't want to be in the vicinity when that happens. So I need to go back trucking, and I need the support of my family to get moved into the hotel room and get control of my health, get control of my sleep, get control of my diet, get control of my supplementation, and stabilize these conditions. Start breathing clean air, dust-free air, mold-free air, and with an air purifier and just a lot of equipment from Amazon. I'll make another video once I get Wi-Fi working here. I'll go through my Amazon list if you care to see all the stuff I picked out for living in a truck and living in a hotel for the next 10 years. I'm going to be living this way for the next 10 years until I can furnish a home for myself and buy a car with cash. Or two cars, actually, because it's always a good idea to have two cars. And there's a number of reasons why that's a really good idea. But yeah, so I'm committed to being a long-haul trucker for the next decade, and I'm lucky enough that I can do that, because there's a lot of people in my position that have taken their lives, including a medical doctor. And I'd still like to know more about his case. Why did he? I think there was something else going on in his personal life because he should have known that chelation was possible for him. I don't know why he took his life, but I would like to know more about him. Yeah, but it's not hopeless. Now, if you're suffering from gadolinium and you're watching this, chelation with DTPA is the only way, unless you want to get crazy and get Hopo is another option. Like I know there's a German watching this. Try to order Hopo from Vandicam, but it's crazy to leave the metal in your body. It's crazy. You got to pull as much out as you can, and get comfortable chelating it on a schedule for the rest of your life, and you'll just slowly improve. But people have gone seriously sick from and injured from doing chelation because it's like repoisoning yourself. So I can understand the fear and the fear around getting more chelation. If you're having serious gadolinium flares, they call it, when it's the gadolinium is stirred up in your body, look into rapamycin. Or what do people do with organ transplants? They get an organ from a donor, and they turn off their immune system so the body doesn't reject the organ. So I would imagine those same drugs, rapamycin comes to mind, but there's probably others. Those same drugs would turn off the flaring to the gadolinium, because the gadolinium is like a organ transplant, essentially. So if you do those drugs and then do chelation, I would imagine you would have a lot less symptoms, and you could pull a lot more gadolinium out without having any adverse reactions. But I'm not a doctor, but what do I know? I'm just a computer nerd, and just a truck driver apparently. But yeah, so yeah, I am declaring here. Yeah, I'm totally disabled, and I don't want to live like this anymore. Thank God I can go back trucking with the support of my father, and just access to the funding. I'm not asking for a handout, just asking for access to the capital, a credit card, lines of credit, whatever I got to do to go back trucking, with equipped and set up properly to do that. So there was another trap that I don't want to get trapped in again, which is where I go back trucking sick and not managing my health, and then I can only drive the truck for 4 hours a day, and then my dispatcher starts hating me, and then they try to cause me to quit, like at my last job, and I'm not making any money, and I'm only making enough to feed myself, and I can't save anything, and then it's just a horrible situation. So I have to go back trucking in a way that works for me. It's a huge responsibility. I have to do it under my terms, not under my narcissist father's terms. So he wants me to just go back trucking naked, with no sunglasses, with no eating like fast food, eating gas station food. That doesn't work for me. So I got to go back doing it the way that works for me, and basically just with equipment and gear and stuff to make it simple and easy. And that way I can spend all my time on my health while I'm in the truck, and then on driving the truck and actually making money. So that's why I need his support to go back trucking. I can't just go back trucking with a CDL and like what I have currently. I don't have what I need to do that. So, and it's thousands and thousands of dollars, but I can make $1,600 a week, and I can live on $700 a week and save or invest the difference if I go back properly, so I can pay off any kind of bills that I've accrued. And this would be the best thing for everybody. And I won't bother my family ever again. I don't see if I'm allowed to go back trucking the way I want to go back trucking, or I need to. I won't need to contact my family ever again for anything, and that's the best scenario for everybody in this situation. And that's what I'm pleading with my father to let me do. And I look forward to the day where I can just delete this channel, and just mind my own business, going back trucking, and maybe start another channel later, talking about what I've learned from recovering from gadolinium, because it's definitely the most impactful, horrible thing that's ever happened to me, and everybody else has been poisoned. And if you're on the fence about gadolinium, you still don't believe me or something, I can answer any questions, but it's a horrible condition, and I just got really unlucky, and but yeah, please stay tuned, and we'll see what happens, because if I can't go back trucking, I don't want to be on this earth anymore, and I'll be seeking a legal, safe way to get medically assisted self-ending, because I'm in too much pain all the time, and it's a living hell. It's a living hell every day, and I'm in extreme pain right now, and I can't wait to get some of these mast cell stabilizers from Amazon so I can turn down the inflammation that I'm experiencing, and But yeah, prognosis is good if I can go about things my way. But if I can't, then it's going to be hopeless for me, and I don't feel like I've done what God put me here on this earth to do. And I need more time on this earth to 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 fulfill God's wishes for me. And I think it would be evil and demonic to do anything other than getting me back trucking in the way that works for me. So it's just too bad that I ruined my finances. If I and I never had an emergency fund, never had any savings. I've been paycheck to paycheck, broke my whole life. But when I was trucking, I had one year where I made $70,000, which is the most I've ever made, and I wasn't even really trying. So I could definitely, if I was trying, and I didn't even know what I was doing. So if I knew what I was doing and I was really making an effort, I could definitely make more than 70,000 a year. And that's what I need to get financial stability and rely. And instead of relying on credit cards, relying on my parents for help, rely on myself for have like contingencies to become independent from my family. And it does suck that I have to live precariously, living in an employer-provided truck and hotels, living precariously like that, nomadically. It's very shitty, but I've done it all these years. I can continue doing it, and yeah, eventually I'll be able to dig myself out of this nightmare and all this suffering. I want all this suffering to have been for something, because I think needless suffering is just the worst. It's just so sinful. So I'm hoping my father will get on board with me and let me start ordering the equipment I need to get my living situation set up here so I can get functional and rehabilitate myself to a level where I can go back trucking, and then I can leave this godforsaken place and never come back to this horrible state of Oklahoma, the worst state in the union as far as I'm concerned. Besides, like, probably Missouri is worse or something, or Alabama. That's a pretty horrible place too.